It's been 5 days since our child was born. Out of the blue, my husband showed up and handed me divorce papers. Just because you had a child doesn't mean you can act all high and mighty. If you piss me off, I'll divorce you in a heartbeat. Think you can raise this child on your own? Think again. Enraged, I snatched the papers from him. It's no use trying to tear it. You're stuck with me forever? Ignoring his mocking laughter, I signed the papers and retorted, "Fine, let's get a divorce." "What? My name's Mally, 32 years old. I met Tom at work. He is 3 years older than me, and we've been married for 4 years. I'll work hard. All I ask is for your support. If we have kids, I'd like you to be a stay-at-home mom." He told me he felt lonely as a child since both his parents worked. So he didn't want our kids to go through the same thing, and he insisted that I become a stay-at-home mom. I agreed with his idea and became a housewife as soon as we got married. Being past 30 when we married, Tom wanted kids right away. I wanted some us time too, but I also wanted kids. It was a bit lonely, but I convinced myself that we could have our couple time in our golden years. But 1 year passed, then 2, and no baby came our way. Turning 30, I felt the clock ticking. Tom's impatience showed and he started blaming me. "Why can't you get pregnant when you're just staying at home? There are plenty of working women out there who get pregnant. You're in a blessed position and you can't get pregnant? Who do you think you are?" It's not like I didn't want to get pregnant. Being a working woman or not doesn't affect one's ability to conceive, but he acted like it was all my fault. It seemed like he took out his frustrations on me by ordering me around. "You don't even have a child and just lounge around all day. You can at least do this much. Stop being lazy." The chores he expected kept getting more demanding. It was like I was being treated as a maid. However, being far from my hometown, I didn't have any friends nearby. I barely went out, maybe just to buy groceries. Since I wasn't working, I didn't have much spending money either. I felt trapped. But it wasn't just Tom pushing me to the edge. 2 years into our marriage, with no pregnancy news, even his parents started asking questions. We'd get calls from them, always the same. "Any grandkids yet?" And from him, "It's your fault you're not pregnant." I didn't have anyone to talk to, and I felt crushed under the weight of it all. My mood grew darker as the days went by, but the seemingly endless cycle broke. I finally got pregnant. The pregnancy test clearly showed a positive line. Tears of joy streamed down my face. Finally, I was pregnant. I managed to contain my excitement and sent Tom a photo of the test. I thought he'd return to his old self once he knows I'm pregnant. Hoping for the best, I sent the picture, but no reply came. When he came home late that night, he just handed me his bag and jacket. Same as always. Did he not see the picture? He sat on the couch and started watching TV without a word. Dinner came and went in silence, so I decided to speak up. "Tom, did you see the picture I sent? I'm pregnant. We're finally having a baby." I held back tears and smiled at him. Yet he kept his eyes glued to the TV. Soon, without changing his expression at all, he said, "Seems so." "Really? Just that? Why isn't he happy? Why doesn't he look pleased? I just can't keep up with him." An indescribable emotion overcame me. "Hey, it's our child, you know? Aren't you happy? You always said you wanted a child. You wished for it to happen soon, didn't you?" Trying to calm my anxiety, I sought his agreement. He should be happy. He should be delighted. He should feel the same way I do. That's what I wanted to believe. But the words he responded with dashed my hopes. "Listen, don't get too high and mighty just because you're pregnant. How long do you think you made me wait? Don't expect me to be nice just because you're expecting. You don't work. You'll continue doing all the household chores." I had no intention of slacking off on chores. All I wanted was a simple "I'm happy" from Tom. Tears of joy turned to tears of sorrow. Ignoring my feelings, he went to the bedroom without saying a word. Why didn't he seem pleased? He used to say he wanted a child so badly. I went to the gynecologist and, to my surprise, found out I was expecting twins. Still, he showed no signs of happiness. Maybe because my belly isn't big yet, it doesn't feel real to him. I convinced myself that as my belly grew, he'd gradually come to terms with it. Weeks passed, and I started experiencing morning sickness and constant fatigue. Even in this state, Tom didn't bother to care about my health, nor did he help with the chores. During a checkup, I received some shocking news. There is a risk of miscarriage. You need to rest as much as possible. The word miscarriage made everything go dark, but I got some relief learning that there was still a chance for the babies. The doctor instructed me to rest at home. I needed Tom's cooperation. I tried reaching out, but just like when I announced my pregnancy, there was no reply. When he came home, I informed him about the checkup, but his attitude remained the same. After days of agony, I decided to visit my parents earlier than planned. That night he said to me, "Don't get lazy and put on weight, your folks, okay? And remember, when you're back, you're doing all the household chores. Don't slack off too much." On the day I was leaving for my parents, even though we wouldn't see each other for a while, Tom was out from the morning. After a few checkups during my stay at my parents', the doctor told me there's nothing to worry about now. That was the only silver lining. When I called Tom to inform him about the checkup, he answered in an irritated voice, "Oh, good for you." Anyway, just before he hung up, I heard a woman's voice over the phone. "Tom, who are you talking to?" There was no mistaking it. The voice clearly called out Tom's name. I had been having a nagging feeling that he no longer loved me. I didn't want to accept it. But after hearing that woman's voice, I had to. His cold attitude all this time finally made sense. As I stroked my growing belly, I made a decision. I'll get a divorce and raise these twins on my own. After being cooped up at home for about 2 months, I decided to go for a walk. It was a sunny and warm day with bright vegetation. Just then, someone called out to me from behind. It was Carl, an old friend from childhood. Seeing each other after several years, he cheerfully invited me for coffee. We reminisced about the past and updated each other about our lives. Carl had become a lawyer and had just opened a small firm. Hearing about his profession gave me an idea. "By the way, can you claim compensation for cheating?" As I let that slip, Carl's face turned serious. "What's going on? If something's bothering you, I'm here to listen." Before I knew it, I was pouring out the secrets of my heart that I couldn't tell anyone. The pain of my difficult pregnancy, and yet my husband was indifferent, even enjoying himself with his mistress. As I spoke, tears welled up in my eyes. "I see it's been tough for you." At his words, the tension inside me snapped. Despite my age, I was crying uncontrollably, not caring who saw. "Calm down. It's okay. I'll be here for you." He desperately tried to console me. "First, let's gather some evidence. Without proof of the affair, you can't move forward." "Evidence, anything will do. Just gather physical proof." "But can I really do it?" "How about I introduce you to a private investigation firm I know? They're experienced in gathering evidence for divorce cases." "Thank you. You're a lifesaver." Later, as Carl suggested, I hired a detective to gather evidence of the affair. According to the private investigation firm, while I was visiting my family in Nebraska, Tom had his mistress over at our house, practically living with her. The other woman seems to be a junior colleague from the same company. I used to work at the same company as Tom, so everyone there knows he's married. Apparently, she was aware he was married and still got involved with him. And that relationship has been going on for nearly 2 years. Around the time I couldn't get pregnant, and he started getting frustrated, he began this affair, blaming me for our inability to conceive, treating me like a maid, and acting indifferent even when I got pregnant. Despite my fears and anxieties of being a first-time mother, he was having an affair. The truth made my blood boil, so that's why he wasn't happy about the pregnancy. While someone else was suffering, he was just having fun. Just divorcing him isn't enough. I'm gonna make him pay. With that resolve, I had several meetings with my attorney, Carl, and we devised a plan. Carl was a great support, always concerned about my well-being. Then, right on schedule, I gave birth to healthy twins. The day Tom suddenly appeared was 5 days after the birth, once the pain from my cesarean section had started to fade. "Hey, long time no see. A 9-day hospital stay, huh? Must be nice. And you didn't even give birth naturally. Late pregnancy, lazing around when you visited your folks, and now a cesarean section. You're failing as a woman, huh? For a man who's supposed to be a husband, let alone to a woman who just gave birth, saying such things." And he didn't even try to see the babies' faces. I didn't want to think of him as the father of my twins. I somehow kept my anger in check when Tom handed me a piece of paper. Already signed by Tom, it was a divorce paper. Do you understand? If you get all high and mighty now that you have kids, I'll divorce you on the spot. You don't want that, right? And if you slack off on the chores because of them, I'll never forgive you. He provocatively waved the divorce papers in front of me. Blinded by rage, I snatched the papers from him. Tearing them up won't do any good. I can just get another one from the courthouse, you know? Ignoring his mocking laugh, I pulled a pen out of my bag. Fine, let's get divorced. It's what I wanted too. What? I won't let this guy lay a finger on my kids. I want him gone right now. With that thought, I signed the divorce papers. As Tom tried to grab the papers back, laughing at me, he said, "Do you even understand what you're saying? How are you going to raise them on your own? You'll regret it. I've already told my parents I'm getting divorced. From now on, I'll live with them. I don't need a cheating husband like you. How long do you think you can keep up this act? You can't live without me. It'll be too late to regret it later." That's when I heard Carl's voice. "Excuse me, I'm Carl Smith, Mallett's attorney. If you don't back off right now, I'll call for help." Startled by the sudden appearance of the lawyer, Tom let go immediately. "Who the hell are you? What do you mean by attorney?" As Tom tried to intimidate him by stepping forward and raising his voice, Carl remained unfazed. He's probably been through situations like this many times. Carl continued calmly, "We've already secured evidence of the affair. If you don't agree to the divorce, we'll go for mediation or even court. If you refuse to negotiate, it'll be a lawsuit." Hey, hold on a minute. I never agreed to a divorce. Yet he's the one who brought up the divorce in the first place. Now he's changing his tune? I can't deal with this nonsense any longer. While Carl was trying to reason with Tom, I handed Carl the already signed divorce papers. "Carl, please take care of this." Tom tried to snatch them away, but Carl quickly stashed them in his briefcase. "I'll hold on to these." There was an undeniable authority emanating from Carl's demeanor. Perhaps realizing he couldn't go against a lawyer, Tom turned to me in desperation. "Come on, you're joking, right? You're not seriously thinking of divorcing me, are you? How will you manage without me? We have twins. They're expensive. You'd be in a bind without me, right?" I shot him a cold glare. For a moment, he was taken aback. "What are you saying after being the one who brought up the divorce? You don't plan on helping with housework or the kids, right? I know that much. What's with the be my servant nonsense? Don't you dare belittle women." He stood there, flabbergasted by my outburst. I drove my point home. "From now on, if you have anything to say, go through Carl. There's no point in coming here. I've asked everyone not to let you in. We've got nothing more to talk about." Leaves. Upon hearing this, Tom's face turned bright red and he raised his fist in anger. What the heck? This guy. However, a clearing of the throat from Carl brought him back to his senses, and his once clenched fist relaxed. "That's how it is. Please leave." Accepting defeat, Tom left the room with a slump in his shoulders. Afterwards, I asked my parents to submit the divorce papers to the town hall. They were accepted without issue, and finally, the divorce was official. Since that day, I've been bombarded with calls and emails from Tom, so I changed my cell phone number. As for the rest, Carl, being the professional that he is, handled everything brilliantly. I even managed to get a substantial alimony payment from Tom and his mistress, so I won't be struggling financially for a while. A few months later, word got out about their affair at work. The mistress resigned immediately, and Tom was transferred to some backwater place, but even there, the rumors had spread. With a drop in his salary and the pressure from colleagues, he went AWOL and was eventually fired. Meanwhile, I moved back to my parents' place, working hard every day to raise my children. It's all new and challenging, but with the support of my parents and Carl, I'm managing. It turns out Carl had feelings for me for a long time. He even confessed, saying he wouldn't mind if I had kids or a previous marriage, and asked me to date him. He told me I could take my time to answer, but my feelings were already clear. Later on, Carl and I got married. He's been treating the twins as if they were his own. Both my parents and I are deeply grateful for everything he has done for our family. Words cannot express how thankful I am. I want to start fresh and build a happy life with him. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you resonated with the content, please leave a positive rating and a comment.